What's up, desktopers? Xavier Wills here for Desktop Bodybuilding, and we are here, me and Baidi Farl, for the 2024 New York Pro Prejudging review. And we've got a pretty interesting battle between Nick Walker and Martin Fitzwater. Baidi, man, straight off the bat, what do you think about obviously Nick Walker and his improvements from what we saw at the Pittsburgh Pro a week ago to what we saw on stage at the New York Pro?
Yeah, so I mean pretty much what I expected. Nick has never missed. I didn't expect him to all of a sudden miss. Yeah, even though most of us comment, we do have to commentate on what we see. And at the Pittsburgh, what we saw was a Nick that wasn't as hard and didn't control his race as much as we'd like to see. But that being said, I think we all agreed that he would come in, if anything, better because what everybody's saying, right? And it's what it kind of looks like. He's probably the hardest I've actually seen him. His waist, from what I've seen so far, looks like probably the best I've seen it in quite some time. So definitely nailed it as you would expect him and Matt to do. And it looks like he's in the front seat. I mean, most of us believe that he was going to win the show. Obviously, he was the favorite. And Nick looks phenomenal. I really don't have anything bad to say, but everything looks great to me. He looks full. He looks round. He looks shredded. His waist is in perfect control. So Nick definitely showed up.
That's the one thing Nick definitely did do, is that he made that waist come in. Well, he didn't do one thing. He came in better condition dramatically. He also, completely fixed any sort of bloat distension issue, which we sort of knew he would do anyway. We knew Nick was going to do that after obviously getting criticism online. And like you said, we had to judge what we saw on stage at a guest posing, but he completely turned it around and came in phenomenal condition. But is it a battle? Because I did my live, and watching it live myself, watching the footage and everything and the movement, I thought Martin was in the best, had the most, I suppose you'd say, detail. While their condition might be sort of like comparable, I thought Martin, compared to anyone in that lineup, had the most detail on his physique, as you can sort of see in the conditioning there in the hamstrings and glutes. But obviously Nick is no slouch in that area. And some people just genetically don't have that, like we called it, there's a guy out here that competed and he used to get really shredded glutes and they used to come in like that. And we used to just call it like a walnut ass, and Martin sort of got that walnut ass. So he can sort of do that. But Nick, you can see there's really no conditioning issues there. And on this back double bicep, I think my eyes were drawn to the conditioning, but you look up top and you see how good, especially, well, that whole pose is for Nick Walker, the biceps, man. Like, they're just crazy, and it sort of accentuates that Martin maybe doesn't have those peaky biceps as much as Nick does, in terms of that completeness. But like the completeness to the physique, I think for Nick there, it just looks very complete head to toe.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if we're talking about like conditioning, body fat, the whole nine, I don't think anybody is as lean as Martin. I think he's the leanest guy on the stage for sure, and that's evident. You look at like he has no back rolls, no loose skin on the glutes. Everything is completely stripped and full. 'Cause even if you're stripped but you're flat, you're gonna have the folds and stuff. So Martin, I believe, is the leanest guy on stage, and he's probably the best peak guy on stage as well. So I think he nailed it more than anybody, if anything. But only thing I will say is that there's still a noticeable size difference between Nick and Martin, even though the condition is comparable. I think Martin is in better shape than Nick. I think he's in better shape than everybody. But just that noticeable size difference, I think, will be enough to give Nick the edge. But I don't think it's a blowout. I gotta be honest. I don't think it's a blowout. I think early in the year we all thought it was gonna be a blowout, and then after the guest posing, was a lot of people had Nick potentially losing. I didn't have Nick potentially losing, but I figured it would be close, and it looks like it's close. I would say Nick is too muscular right now, but Martin's no slouch. He said on a
Oh, I think we lost Baidi there for a second. Baidi, come back
delayed.
to us.
Am I
Oh,
here?
you're back. You're back. You're back. You're back.
Let me go to the other room just to make sure.
Too easy, my man. But while you head into the other room, we've got Jordan Hutchinson, man, in the chat as well. Says, "What's up, boys?" And shout out to what's that? Viperushia for the £2 donation. We've got a few people commenting in here. We've got Lucas, Baidi Legend, Crohn's Lifter as well. How's it going, fellas? And yeah, a whole bunch of desktop bodybuilding. And here we go. KB says the Fit Nation and desktop link up is always great because obviously those who don't know as well but are watching this, Baidi has his own podcast as well. So go check out Baidi's channel. So what's your channel? Because I didn't put the link in the description. I was in too much of a rush.
Oh yeah, channel is Baidi Farl. So that's the YouTube channel, and the podcast is Fit Nation Podcast.
Yeah, it's killer, man. And I'm on there from time to time, and he's from time to time on Bodybuilding University. But let's get back to this battle for supremacy of the New York Pro title. And man, the person that sticks out to me on this after looking at the battle between the top two is Beef Stew, like Stuart Sutherland on the right. Like he looks crazy there. Like that pose just, for some reason, it just fits his physique so well.
Yeah, one thing that stood out to me is that Stu looks like the biggest guy on stage, you know, and Nick obviously is the most filled in as far as he has the most muscle, but Stu appears to be the biggest guy there. He just has a huge frame, and he's blasting full. He's been shredded for some time, so he's very lean, but most, you know, what stood out the most is just his overall size, and he looks insane. I mean, if he looks that big on this stage against these guys, that just tells you how big this guy actually is. So Stu nailed it, man. It's just one of those lineups. It's probably the toughest lineup of the, well, not probably, definitely the toughest lineup of the year, outside of the Arnold. And Stu bought it, man. Stu bought it. It looks like he's gonna be potentially in third or fourth. Let's see where it goes. Hopefully he gets top three, man. I think that would be epic. You know, that'd be epic.
Yeah, for sure. And it seems like he's in a battle with Tonio Burton, most likely. Also, by the call-outs, Baidi, do you think, in terms of what you think in terms of the physiques, like you have Nick Walker winning, personally, I had Martin winning, but I obviously lean like the aesthetics, you know, like the aesthetics guy. And I feel like for me, I thought Martin had enough size in certain poses. Yeah, like the arms, like there is no denying that Nick has like massively huge arms. He has a very complete looking back. Martin has a very big back, but it's a completely different look as well. And it's a very hard show for, in my opinion, to sort of like judge. But let's go to that. I suppose, in your opinion, who do you have winning and who do you think the judges will have winning based on the call outs and everything else?
From the call outs, in the 4-man call out, it looked like Nick and Martin in the middle, but I think I saw pictures of did I see pictures of a 3-man call out, or were they just cropped?
No, it would have just been cropped. So what they did with the call outs is basically they brought out a top 6. So in addition to these guys, you had Angel Calderon, and you also had I'm forgetting. It wasn't Quinton. Quinton was out of the top 6 to start with. You had Christian Wolski, bro. Christian Wolski was in the first call out. So what was that?
Yeah, I didn't see that coming out. I didn't think he would be in the first call out, which is wild.
Yeah, he put on a lot of size, man. He put on a lot of size. So he was sort of, then they did another call out where they had like Quinton versus Angel versus Wolski. So he's potentially getting pushed up a little bit, Quinton is, and we'll discuss Quinton a little bit more. But then basically at the end, you had a second last call out, and then you had a last call out of these guys. And then in that last call out, it started with Tonio and Martin in the middle, like how you can see now on the screen. And then they swapped Nick for Tonio, and they went through the poses. But throughout that whole last rotation, Martin stayed in that same position, I believe. I don't think he was moved at all. And I don't think Stu was moved at all. But Tonio and Nick were swapped, but Martin stayed in the middle the whole time. So, I mean, you could take that any certain way, but do you read anything from that at all? Or do you think that's just how they decided to mix it up and compare that sort of top 3 maybe?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell. I mean, the only things that we can say for sure is that this is the top 4, and then the top 2 would be Nick and Martin as a prejudging, at least. You know, third and fourth, you can't say for sure, no matter if they get switched around. You know, and things can change come finals. Since there's two guys in the middle, you can't really read who they have in first. Just from what I'm seeing, it would appear that Nick is winning the show. I'm sure a lot of people have Martin winning as well because he does have better shape. But like I said before we hopped on, I mean, bodybuilding is always going to be a muscle contest first. So if you're matching conditioning or close to conditioning, and you have, Nick probably has 30 pounds of muscle on Martin. It's just one of those things that the muscle is usually going to be enough, even if his shape isn't as good. But that being said, I mean, Nick's shape isn't bad here as well, and I'll go as far as say that he has one of the best midsections, actually, because his abs are so detailed, and when he crunches down on it, you can see all that detail. And he never loses any ab control on stage, which is just watching the routine. I'm like, it's crazy how it was such a big difference from last week, But on stage, he's focused. When it's game time, he's focused, and I think he did more than enough to get this W. You know what I'm saying? Martin, I mean, it's hard not to root for Martin just because he's so passionate about this that you always want to see him. You always want to see him win. I know me just knowing him personally, know how bad he loves bodybuilding, how bad he wants to win. It's hard to root against Martin. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like Nick is in the driver's seat, and by the call outs, it would appear 1 and 2 is going to be Nick and Martin for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for sure it's going to be those top two. By the way, you're playing with your microphone a little bit. I think you get your finger on a little bit. You're a good man. But yeah, so between that battle for fourth place, to me, by the call-outs, like Tonio was the only one who got a turn in the middle, I guess. But that's just how they walked out. They just walked out and they just ran them through the first lot of poses without moving them. Then they moved Nick into the middle. So whether they're just like, Steve's like, well, we don't need to move him. That don't matter, as you say, as you would be, Stu say. But yeah, so they left Stu there. So that would lead me to think that he's more likely fourth after prejudging.
Yeah.
But you never know, man, because we've seen top two call out between Steve Kuklo and Nick Walker at the Arnold, and then Ian Valier goes and gets, finals, goes and messes things up. So you never know. Stu could go up there and mess things up in finals. But man, there are some other guys that we need to discuss as well. But who do you have placing third out of those two other guys? I mean, we've only seen photos, so we can only judge so much. But what did you think, I suppose, of that battle for the most likely third, but potentially for second?
I would love to see some of that 6K footage. I don't know if what's the guy's name?
Gilko.
The guy Gilko. Yeah, I don't know if I think his name is Gilbert. Forget from Gilko, something like that. I don't know if he's there, but if he's there, I would love to see some of that just so I get a better idea. From the pictures, it looks like Tonio seems to have a lot of good detail and separation. Actually, Stu looks full as a house, or round as a house.
Round as a house, as we say.
Yeah, Stu just looks huge. He's in great shape. I don't know, man. I feel like I'm gonna have some bias, maybe because Stu is my boy. Just subconscious bias, but I would have Stu in third personally. That's just my opinion. What I think is the most likely outcome from watching the call outs, I would say probably Tony is in third. I really just want to see Stu move up because just having a waist that small, pulling a vacuum, being that fucking big, it has to count for something. He appears like the guy in the lineup, not weight wise, but visually, he appears like the biggest guy in the lineup. He's shredded, he's full, it's good posing. So I would love to see that count for something for sure. But I guess let's see, man. I got my money on Stu in third though.
Yeah, I mean, I think the way it will play out is, wait, let me move us to the side there so you can see his legs a bit better, because the way his legs seem to come up during his prep, I know he had like a bit of a knee injury, and it's just been incredible how he's been able to, the way he poses them as well is very, very smart, and just how they've been able to come up through his prep. It's just like, Dude, I don't know many people that have been able to do it to that level. So shout out to Stu Sutherland for doing that. And yeah, I think it was incredibly close. There are some poses where I'm like, Stu's got this. You know, Stu's too big. He's hard. He's got all these things going on. But then there's other poses where I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about Tonio. I forgot he's got that. You know, he's got this. He's got these other sort of gifts. So it is hard and it is very close. But in terms of conditioning, I think if Stu was just that like 1 to 2 pounds, I reckon that would be perfect. But he's got other shows coming up this year too. So if he'd pushed it down real hard for this show, those other shows would probably be an extreme struggle to get to. So I think he's just like that. Like his conditioning is great, but I think it's more that he's standing next to Martin, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
like
yeah.
and Nick Walker, and you know, it's a very tough lineup. In any other lineup, I'd probably say he's shredded. So yeah, shout
Mhm.
out to Stu. He looked phenomenal, and honestly, if he places third or fourth, or you know, potentially even second, I probably wouldn't even complain. So yeah, shout out to Stu because I think that's by far his best package ever, and I feel like we're going to see better maybe in a few weeks or something, man.
So like just knowing Stu's physique, like from a personal standpoint, he always has to shoot to err on the fuller side, because one thing he can't do is ever be flat. If he's flat on stage, he loses some of that X frame and some of that, taper that makes him, because his legs flatten out first, right? And then once he had a really good high sweep, once that comes down because he's flat, things don't pop, and then he doesn't appear to have a crazy X frame. So he's always going to err on the side of too full rather than too flat. So that's kind of what he did here. I know like he was probably as peeled as Martin during the prep, but I think they definitely pushed the carbs up, which I think was the best case scenario, because if he ended up coming in flat and didn't fill out those legs, I think he would have dropped in this lineup. As competitive as it is, he would have dropped. So maybe, yeah, like you said, maybe 1 to 2 pounds lighter would have been even a better look. But just to gauge that last 2 pounds is so difficult that if you had to choose
Oh yeah,
one, it would more than likely be like, okay, let's be fuller so that we have the leg, because your waist is going to be small anyways. Let's really just push that fullness, and I think that's what they appear to have done here.
yeah, and he looked good, very very good for it too. So let's get some
Yeah,
comparisons there with Nick Walker. They're not the greatest HD photos, but it's good to always see these. Like, look how good that rear relax looks on Nick. I mean, on Stu, and obviously Nick as well. And you can see even on his iPhone photo or Android or whatever, you can see more condition and details in Nick's glutes and hamstrings here. So it sort of
yeah.
shows that the guys that we think are like, oh yeah, if he was a couple of pounds tighter, it's like when I'm looking at Stu here now, how cut out his glute is from his hamstring and how hard his hams look, and his back's like the skin is just wrapped on there. I'm like, yeah, I feel even bad saying like, yeah, maybe Stu could be a pound or two, even that. It's like that's tough.
Look how big and wide he looks here. You know what I'm saying? But it's
Mm.
one of those. There's so many levels to this. Like you said, in any other lineup, you'd be like, oh, he's the most peeled guy. But these guys are crazy, bro. Like Martin is so shredded that it's hard to even comprehend how shredded he is. So, and these cameras can't pick up this detail. I remember going to a New York Pro, maybe like 2015, 16, when Dexter won, and people were like, how did Dexter win? He giving up so much size to Rolly. And I was there in person. I'm like, bro, you guys have no idea how peeled he was, because cameras can't pick up that amount of detail. It's impossible. So you're looking at it and you're
Yeah.
like, damn, look how shredded you are. And however shredded you think they are, they're so much more shredded than that in person. So just kudos to these guys for just being able to get this shit is hard, man. So getting to this level of condition is so insane that most people just could never relate or understand how hard it is.
Mm. I actually heard Martin interviewed by Dennis James and those guys on the Menace podcast. And Martin was talking about he's like, yeah, he's eating 300 grams of carbs a day and doing like no cardio. And Dennis is like, that sounds like that's easy, Or he's like, you're hurting doing that. But when you're in that level of condition, it doesn't matter what you're doing. Your body's still pushing to that point where it's burning through everything. Like it doesn't matter, you know.
It's funny when people say that because people don't understand people's bodies are different. So for me, I can relate with Dennis where I have to go 50 carbs or lower to get shredded in 2 hours of cardio. That being said, you can't assume that that makes it harder because from what I'm noticing, just being a coach, it's actually harder to have to eat that much food. Because here's okay, think about it this way: like you said, when you're that lean, you're suffering regardless. You're in pain. So now you're in the same pain that I am in because you're as lean as me, right? But you're having to eat 300 carbs, which is making you more hungry because carbs does stimulate your appetite. So mine is just going to be more hungry, more lethargic. You know, when you have a bunch of carbs, how you get tired and sleepy. So the truth is
Yeah,
that it for us to be like, oh, that's not suffering because I eat so much less. Your body metabolizes it different. So mine's body is metabolizing it the same way your body will metabolize 20 carbs. So he feels just as
yeah,
shitty,
100.
but now he has to sit there and eat 9 meals. And now he has to sit there hungry with all these carbs, having his blood sugar go up and down. So it's not easier. If anything, it may be harder. It's just a different kind of hard. So you can't look at like, well, that would be easy for me. Just for you, it would be easy because you wouldn't be in shape on 300 carbs. So you would be fat and you would be happy. But for Martin, he's just as miserable. Trust me, you know what I'm saying. So that's we have to we have to understand people's bodies went different. Like I've seen people struggling on like 400 carbs. They depleted, they're flat, they feel like shit, and then it made me realize, wait, I think we're thinking about it wrong. Like my body is just more efficient with less carbs. Your body just burns
Yeah.
through it, so you end up feeling horrible. So it's just different, man. You can't. Trust me, it's not easier for Martin. It's just a different battle.
Yeah, man, we could literally talk for ages about that. I feel like we was about to go deep into a podcast and get real off topic because I knew my answer was going to dictate where this conversation went and how long this went. But man, 100%, I completely agree with everything you said as well. It is all about how efficient your body uses it and all that sort of stuff. But
Mhm.
Christian Wolski, dude, he was a guy that's like hoping to crack into the top 5 last year. This year, he's like, oh, well, I'm going to do a really tough show and probably be top 6. Like,
Where's
what
he
the?
from?
I don't know, like probably another planet or something, man. He just seems to grow really quick from last year. Like, I don't know. He's from one of those European countries. You can just tell by the name Wolski, but yeah, and Christian spelled that way with a K as well. But yeah, super European, but super impressive. And he made some crazy improvements, man. I was so blown away. Like when I saw him in the first call out on the end, I almost lost my mind. I almost just shut down the whole stream and just cancelled everything. But no, but I just wanted to give him a huge shout out, man, because there was no one expecting Christian Wolski to be up in that first call out, and I think he's just going to sort of keep climbing. So shout out to him and maybe beating out. Let's just say maybe because there are other guys, and I'm trying to find that second call out somewhere. It's I think it's on RX Muscle actually, so I'll go back on RX. And I wanted to mention Quinton Eriya, man, because Quinton was a guy that was discussed a lot going into the New York Pro. There was a huge amount of hype from way back. The hype was like sort of tempered a little bit when we saw those physique updates where people were sort of saying, oh, he's a bit too flat and all those sorts of things. Here's some individual photos of Quinton. Now, I thought he looked pretty damn good on stage. Now, was he smaller or flatter than we've seen in the past? It's like, yeah, no, not smaller. He wasn't smaller. Definitely not smaller. Was he maybe flatter? Did he maybe go a little bit too low? Could he have been fuller? Maybe. But he might not have had the same level of conditioning. And I will say this photo does him no justice. The conditioning was looking much better. And I think he can still push into the top 6 at finals. But what's your thoughts on seeing Quinton in these photos initially?
I mean, he looks good to me just because it's hard for him to not look good, right? Because of his shape and muscle release. I don't think it was any lack of like his physique. I just think these guys, and I do think he improved a lot, and I still think this is probably his best look. I think this is his biggest. I won't say
Yeah, it's
his
his best
leanest,
look.
yeah, but I still believe this is his best look. I honestly just believe the other guys were just better, bro. Like it's crazy to say that, but they were just really muscular and really hard. And I don't know. He just has to continue to get bigger and harder. He has everything else. It's just the league. doesn't wait around. The league just keeps getting better, man. And guys are coming in better and better and better. Nick may be his best look ever, and it's still close to Martin. Just think about that. Nick is a top 3 guy coming at his potentially one of his best looks ever, if not his best look ever, and he's still having to battle Martin, a guy who is a first time Olympian this year. That's how crazy the IFBB is right now, right? Stu is somebody who was a top 2 New York guy, made loads of progress, and is battling for 3rd or 4th. So that just tells you the league is progressing so fast that, it's just something he has to just, he's very young, and he has to just continue to just pack on more and more muscle so he can push the conditioning more and also still stay big, right? Because if you say, okay, well, let's not push it as hard, well, then you're just not hard enough, and then you're still going to lose to these guys who are harder. And if you come in too full, well, you know what I'm saying? You're either not hard enough or you're hard, but you're not going to look as dense at 6'2". So he just has to be so fucking huge. And I know it's annoying because he took a whole year off, and then he might have to do the same thing again. And it's very annoying, but it's just the game you have to play as a taller guy. You know what I'm saying? I've been competing for 7-8 years, and I've seen guys who I was beating come and turn pro before me because maybe they're 5'7", 5'8", and they're just packing on muscle and looking a lot more filled in. Whereas it's taken me 8 years to get close to filling my frame up, and I'm 5'11". He's 6'2". So it is annoying and it hurts, but you just have to remember that when you actually pack it on, like Samson, it took him forever, but well, not forever, but he's 10 years older than Quint. Andrew is 10 years older than Quint. So once you get there, well, then you beat everybody as long as you're on. It's just that it takes a long time to get there. So you're gonna have to be patient, and he's gonna have to keep his head up and not feel like defeated or anything like that. Just more motivated. That's the only way to do it.
Yeah, because out of a show like this, no matter what, there's going to be guys in like Quinton's situation where they're like, damn, like I got beaten by this many guys in like a smaller show. This isn't a smaller show. You may as well say this is the Arnold. If you just named this the Arnold and put the same lineup up there and cut out maybe like the bottom 5 guys or 6 guys, you'd say, yeah, that's the Arnold lineup. It's just that good. So yeah, so Quinton may as well say he's probably like 6th in the Arnold up to the show. So that's how good it is. So I want to touch on a few more guys as well, if you've got the time, dude.
Yeah.
Cool. So I want to touch on the guys in this lineup and quickly touch on the 212 as well, if we've got the chance, or at least give a shout out to Aaron Pilates just on the way out. Because I don't have quite all I'm missing one of the guys' names, but we've got Tim Budesheim here, who I thought looked, in this photo, he looks ridiculous. I'm trying to get zoomed over there. That doesn't want to do it. But he looks really crazy, stacked full of muscle. Just has sort of the same issue in other contests, but I thought it was his best ever. So when he hits the front double, it's not quite flaring enough, especially when you're up against like Quinton in the same call out and stuff. From the back, it was sort of the same deal, but I thought he did look really good overall. But yeah, you can see it here, the front double. It's just the waist to lat ratio just probably isn't enough. But Wolski doesn't have the biggest waist to lat ratio, but yeah, it's just, I don't know what it is, but overall I thought it was a pretty damn good package.
Yeah, man. I gotta be honest, I don't see anybody that doesn't look really good here. It's like I said, like we just said, Quint is just got the second call out, which I'm sure he's very disappointed in that, but not for not looking good. Like the guy still looks great. All these guys look really good. It's just I don't know. It comes down to, I guess, partially genetics, how much muscle you have, and how shredded you can get and still be fucking huge, at this point. So it came down to perfect peaks. Angel peak perfectly, but genetically he just can't hang with the guys ahead of him. His limbs, his extremities just can't hang. But he's peaked perfectly. Everybody's like pretty much dead on, huge, shredded, but somebody has to be first, somebody has to be last. It doesn't mean you're bad because you're last. You're a bad bodybuilder. Last place in this show is going to be a fucking really good bodybuilder. Let's just say that.
Yeah. 100%, man. 100%. And I don't know why I got off that page because I was talking about those guys. I was just thought I'd go to more photos, and then I don't know what I did that. But we obviously had Christian Wolski. We've talked about Christian Wolski. Who else did we have in that lineup? We had Angel. That's who I wanted to talk about. So Angel Calderon looked really damn good, man. Like you can make a case for this guy really being anywhere in the lineup inside that top sort of 3 to or 4 to whatever range, like you can really just sort of mix him up in there. I thought he looked phenomenal at this show. Was it his best ever? I'm not sure. Like, could he maybe be like he can't really be any harder. He's shredded, never too shredded. But yeah, I think it was his best ever. And it goes to show that, people saying that if you're a good 212, then just do the open. The dude got second in the 212 and he's likely not in the top 5 here, potentially in the top 5, but likely not, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, but like he gets what 6? It looks like he's trying for.
Yeah, probably 6th or so. Yeah, maybe 5th.
Yeah, he gets 6 there for the same reason why he doesn't win the 212, right? Because it's like if you look at muscularity, conditioning, why can't he be 212 Olympia champ? It's literally, it comes down to just genetics, man. Genetically, he doesn't have small hips. He doesn't have a small waist. His extremities, it's crazy because can't really say he has small arms. If you look at his arms separately, they're actually big. It's just on his body. His arms are shorter. He makes it look a little squatty looking. And they're not as big as his torso, Doesn't mean it's small. It's just that genetically, the way he's put together isn't conducive for him winning the 212 Olympia or placing any higher here. But not because he didn't do the work, because like you said, I don't think he could be any harder than this. I don't even know if he could be any bigger than this, realistically. I mean, can he physically? He could, but would he be a better bodybuilder, 10 pounds heavier? I don't think so, And then people say, well, what if he adds the 10 pounds all in his arms? We both know the body doesn't work that way. That's not how bodybuilding works. You add 2 inches on your arms, you still add an inch on your waist. So we've all tried it. You know what I'm saying? All of our waists are bigger than it used to be. It just might not look like it because everything grew. But in this case, if everything grows, you're back at square one, right? So it is what it is. He's just not moving any higher because genetically the way he's put together, unfortunately, which probably isn't a good feeling, but also it's good to know that you maximize your genetics. You know what I'm saying? So if you ask people as an amateur, Nick, he wasn't even supposed to turn pro. And now here he is winning probably the best New York Pro lineup, potentially winning one of the best New York Pro lineups we've ever seen, just off of maximizing his potential. So there's something to be said about that as well. And Angel is definitely maximizing, just structurally, the way he's put together, unfortunately, isn't conducive to him placing any higher here.
Yeah. Well, geez, my voice went. Yeah, for sure. Let me quickly pull up the 212. Where should we go for that? Maybe buys and tries have something on that. But I saw my guy Aaron Polite. He's obviously up there, and maybe a little surprised actually. He's outside the top 5, but he looks really damn good. Yeah, I mean outside the top, a couple of guys, because he wasn't in. I believe this was the first call out, so he was outside the first call out, but then he was compared to these guys. Like I believe he's beating. Dude, this guy's name keeps escaping me. The guy from Brazil that had dreadlocks.
Oh yeah, damn, yeah, you're right. It's escaping me too.
Lucas Coelho, is that it? Lucas Coelho,
yeah.
So Lucas Coelho. So he was in that first call out. I believe Aaron is beating him. We had Giuseppe Zagarella. He looked really, really good. I'll try to zoom in.
He's good. He's good.
Oops.
Hey,
he's really good, man.
What's his name? Olay Christian.
Yeah, he's here.
Okay, so here's the thing. How come nobody ever talks about him, but he always is like looks insane, right? Like he was the top 5 Olympian. I think he beat Keon that one year. I think he got like 4th that one year. And
was he
could have been high.
Huh? I know he's somewhere up there, but I didn't know he's that high. Yeah, that's high.
Well, I don't think he was. I don't know if he was there last year. I'm not sure. The year before last year when Keon got 6th, I believe it was, he had got 4th, I believe. And but he could have been higher, bro. He looked insane. And He looks insane here today too. I think everybody had Karif Bajo winning because Karif has a crazy physique. But I gotta be honest, I think I got Olay in front of Karif. Just the fucking whiff, the tape. I don't know. I think he looks fucking unreal. The
Baidi,
condition.
no more F bombs. I'll get demonetized.
Oh, I'm sorry. Dude.
Okay.
I didn't notice.
No, I do it too, man. I do it all the time. I drop F bombs. I'm like, yeah, I'm probably at about a 4 quota limit now for YouTube before I start getting mad.
I didn't even notice. My bad. Yeah, but it looks like I don't know. What did you think about? I think Olay is winning this, bro.
Dude, it's really tough because it's almost Martin versus Nick, but in the 212 in a way, because Karif has like a reasonably pretty physique. Like you look at that front double bicep, and that's looked pretty damn crazy. Olay here as well actually does look reasonably pretty. I think he's got the bigger legs. I think he's got very hard legs. But I just think that maybe they're going, okay, well, let's go with something a little bit more pretty. But I mean, Olay looks real pretty in this back double bicep and looks really good. It's just that you see here, maybe there's a bit missing off the arms, like where you see how Karif's is like rounded down all the way around. And Olay, I don't know if he's had a tear in his tricep. I think he's torn that tricep where it goes in. So, and then I think he's torn this bicep maybe as well. I don't know. I don't want to say that if he hasn't. But yeah, I think he's got a few tears and a few little things that just sort of throw it off a little bit. But overall, so impressive, and I wouldn't complain if he won this contest. I don't know if he won. Yeah, if he won this contest, yeah. I was thinking for some reason about Open, man. I'm like, he's not beating Nick. Then we had Zagrela on the right hand side here. Yeah, man, I'm such a huge fan of this guy, and these photos actually make him look not that conditioned. Like, and same as Karif as well, makes him look not that conditioned. The other guys, Olay and Francisco on the left, who's Patrick Toole's client, they were inside out. They were so inside out that it was like, oh, you're going to make everyone else look soft like that? Like, just that skinless sort of stuff, especially Francisco. He was harder than Olay, in my opinion, which is saying something. So, yeah, I think Zagarella was in condition. Just maybe the back could have been just slightly crisper. And I think, honestly, I think he would win this show because he's so pretty, such a small waist, so round. Yeah, I think he'd win if he was just crisper in the back, in the hamstrings and stuff.
Yeah, this is one of those shows, man. I can guarantee if you're at this show in person, you're going to be like, what the fuck? Like, these people are on, bro. And even the people who are on look like they're off compared to some of the other guys. But, like, these are one of those shows, if you're there in person, you're going to be speechless because, you know, like, why is Aaron not in the first call out? And it's like, I think you have to be there to be like, okay, these motherfuckers are next level. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm so used to talking like
You've been on the streets all night or something, man? You not slept?
They're definitely demonetized now. It's over with.
That's fine. I don't care anyway. Well, I do, but I don't. But yeah, anyway, that's funny. I enjoy it. I think people enjoy it anyway, to be honest. But yeah, like you said, man, Aaron not being in that first call out, that sort of blew my mind. Because when he came out, I'm like, oh, Aaron's right up there. Aaron's right up there. So I feel for Aaron, but I think part of Aaron too, like he had some stuff going on. So I think he was glad to get to the stage, you know, like he had to go on antibiotics, you know, a few weeks out from a show. So yeah, just not a fun time, but I'm glad he was able to actually get up there and look look that good because it's probably his all-time best as well. And the dude's like, it goes to show the 212 and Open was stacked here, just ridiculously stacked. And I'll show you a photo of Aaron because I actually think he could work up. I mean, he's going to beat some of those guys that were actually ahead of him in that first call out. Like I think he'll beat at least one, if not two. Oh, where's in here? I took some screen captures. They're on my other video, the prejudging preview. But yeah, we haven't really got any good ones here. But yeah, Aaron looked really, really damn good as well. And I think he'll be sort of the one guy not in that photo before that will be doing very, very well on this show. I'm not going through his whole story. But anyway, final thoughts, man, on Nick Walker versus Tonio Burton versus Martin Fitzwater versus Stuart Sutherland. How do you think it'll play out? What do you think will be the final placings, and how would you place it personally?
Yeah, so if they all come back exactly the same, I would have it going Nick, Martin, Stu, Tonio. Granted, people can tighten up. Well, I don't know if Martin can tighten up. I think Martin is as tight as he can get, you know. But yeah, people can fill out, people can tighten up, and everything in between. But I feel like it's gonna go that way. I think Tonio and Martin can fill out. I think Tonio, Martin, and Nick can probably all fill out a little bit more, and potentially look even better. I think Stu could maybe dry out a little bit, just like 1-2 pounds possibly, and look even better. Yeah, for him to beat Tonio, I think he may have to dry out a couple pounds in finals, and then he'll probably get that nod. But overall, I think it was a really good show. I think everybody delivered, even though Quint didn't get the placing he wanted. I personally think Quint still delivered with what he had available. I just think he just needs more of it at his height, unfortunately, for him. But I think everybody nailed it. Everybody delivered, and Christian of Wolski is probably the happiest man right now. You know, he probably over delivered the most. But yeah, everybody delivered in both the divisions. Everybody delivered, and it was a good show. I think it's really exciting, bro. I was ready to wake up early just to go to see what's going on, you know. And that don't happen.
What time is it there now, bro?
It's like what, 11? Let me see. Yeah, it's about to be 12, 11:56.
Yeah, cool. So you woke up like half an hour ago. So early for you, man, before midday.
Oh, for me, this is early. Man. For me, this is break of dawn for me.
Baidi wakes up when the sun is right above his head. That is his dawn.
Oh yeah. And as you can see, I'm barely awake. I'm like half sleeping right now, honestly.
Man, I like it. It's the dulcet tones, man. I haven't been to sleep yet, and it's like almost 5 a.m. So I'm doing like an all-nighter over here.
Holy something else.
Yeah. Man, I love it. Anyway, my final thoughts are that I think it will go the way I think it will play out is I think they'll put Nick first. I think it will be Martin second. I think it will be Tonio third and then Stu in fourth. The way I would have it playing out would be Martin in first, just because it's just what I'm saying. I think Nick was phenomenal, but just because I would have Martin marginally edging, just it's what I prefer, I guess overall. But Nick, I mean, look at that waist. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. So I can understand people putting it either way, but it's just I think that Martin. Yeah. Anyway, I'm not going to go on about it. I've said it a million times. I just think that he wasn't so small that it justifies Nick beating him, which sounds crazy because Nick's been third in the world, but I suppose it just goes to say how good I think Martin is. But like I said as well, when I was doing my live, I was like, I know all these dudes, you know, like I've had them all on my podcast, you know, so it's not like obviously Martin's been on the most, but you know, it's not because he's come on my podcast the most or anything. Stu's been on my podcast the most lately. So if I was really being biased, I'd be like, oh, Stu, man, Stu for this win, you know, and it's. And honestly, some poses I'm like, yeah, Stu, like Abbenthai and a few other ones. I'm like, yeah, like they're really right up there. But yeah, in my opinion, I think the way it should play out is probably Martin, Nick, and then just like toss a coin for Tonio and Stu, man. And the way I think it will play out is, Tonio at third and Stu in fourth. So anyway, I think it's going to be an exciting show no matter what. I'll go live for the finals. Bro, you're welcome to join in. If there is some Gilco footage, I don't know what I'll do about that. I might because it's hard to show the Gilco footage on StreamYard, but we'll figure it out. And that's it for this one. And dude, thank you so much for jumping on last minute. Literally woke up and jumped straight in. So I appreciate it.
Of course, man. Anytime, brother. Anytime.
Anyway, guys. Oh, we've got some super chats in here. Hold up.
Oh yeah.
We've got they're like $20, so I have to mention mention them. I'm trying to feature them. Here we go. 2 lots of $20. Get Wolski on the podcast, dude. Yeah, okay. Well, now I have to. $20 donation for it.
We definitely have to get Wolski.
Get Wolski on the podcast, dude. Oh, someone said we got Wolski in the comments. Hold on. We got Wolski in the comments. Where's Wolski?
Shout out Wolski, man. You look incredible.
Someone said, Xavier, you're absolutely battling this live. Here we go.
You found him?
Yeah. Can you see that comment on the screen?
Oh yeah, I think yeah. There you go. Well, congrats, Wolski. Man,
yeah. Wolski fan club up in here.
This lineup, bro, for you to come out here and do this in this lineup, man, you should be very proud of yourself, man. Straight up.
Yeah, 100%. Xavier waiting on more money. Wolski's trolling me, man. I'm getting Wolski trolled.
I like this guy. Yeah, you should definitely get him on.
yeah, I know, yeah. Then yeah, Wolski, you're coming on no matter what. Especially because we had super chats because of it. Check comments and super chats. Xav, you knobhead. That seems rough. that just seems rough. Man, I love YouTube. I love the people. Man, I'm just quickly scrolling this Wolski chat here. Xavier still doesn't see. Oh yeah, they're trolling me hard. Yeah. It's because I wasn't checking the comments. It's because you were here, Baidi. I blame you. You got Wolski here, man. Oh man, we've got AJ Sims up in here as well.
Okay,
Tonio,
AJ.
Tonio unfortunately played a little too much size game and lost a little detail that would have solidified second, in my opinion. I agree with AJ 100% there. It was just that little bit of like crispness from a back and a few little spots that I might, if that was in, I would say, you know, don't want to say easy third, but I would say that solidify him into third and then could push him up into that sort of really battling for second for sure.
Yeah, but that's the hard part about bodybuilding though, because hindsight is 20/20, right? So it's like you'll come in, you be like, oh, I'm gonna really go for that peel look, and you come in, everybody's like, oh man, kind of flat. If you was only a little bit fuller, right, and then you come in fuller, and it's like just a little bit. So it's like you're playing. You don't really know how it's gonna translate on stage against the other guys till you get there, unfortunately, right? So like whatever game you play, it could be right or wrong. So I don't know. It's like it's hard to say, right? Because once you see it, you know, but it's too late, right? You're already up there.
Yeah. Everyone wants to nail the Sean Clarita look that he brings to the stage, where he's blasting full, but he's also detailed. You know what I mean? Like it's so hard to get that balance. And you're eating too to balance this out. And then what happens? Like you might get diarrhea. It's like, there goes my fullness. But hey, there's my leanness.
How long can you hold it, bro? My best look ever, was like a week out from the USA's, the one Stu won. I ended up getting second call out, you know, because it's like, yeah, I looked my best ever a week out, but that was a week out. So it's like your body is changing. So what you might nail it that Thursday. Oh, damn, this is it. But that's not good. If you nailed it Thursday, you ain't nailing it Saturday, you know? So it's one of those things. You have to get that look and now hold it, which sounds easy, right? Just do the same thing. No, bro, you do the same thing. Sometimes it doesn't work. So it's like, what do you do? It's literally just your coach has to be so experienced, and not just in general, experience in general, but also experience with you to know your body. You're feeding somebody more. They're still losing weight. It's like, it's so difficult, but they make it look so easy, you know. AJ is a master of this as well, because AJ brings guys in on perfect, you know, but they make it look so easy, but it's so difficult that it's like insane. And some of these coaches have 3-4 athletes at the same show, and it's so much that goes into it that it's really rough, but we love it. And that's why anybody, any given day can win the show.
Yeah, 100%. And I've got to give a shout out to AJ Sims and Christian Wolski and the super chatters for getting my attention. But literally, I forgot to get to the comments. People saying I'm bottling this live by not getting to the comments and stuff. So apparently I butchered it. But I think that was fun. That was fun, man. I liked getting Wolski in here. And no worries at all, Jacob. Shout out to all you guys. And AJ Sims also says as well, Dex always, he said, remember Tonio's like Dexter. Then he said Dex always just brought his game he was known for, played his strengths. So yeah, absolutely. But anyway, that's it for this one, guys. Go follow Body Farl on YouTube. Is it
Yeah.
Body Farl on Instagram too?
Yes, sir.
I just see the same thing, man. I'm like, that's Baidi. So anyway,
Yeah.
follow my man Baidi, and also follow that YouTube channel as well. He's got a great podcast, which I appear on from time to time as well as IFBB pros and all that good stuff. So for myself, Xavier Wills and Baidi Body Farl, we are out. Oh wait, I've got to end the stream because we're live. I forgot. Now we are out.
Peace.